right, a new report from Politico, a big one here, alleges the Obama administration was warned about Russia's plans for election interference as far back as 2014, 3 years ago. And President Trump was quick to comment, tweeting in part, he didn't want to anger Russia, talking about the President Obama. So does this have an impact on the left's case for collusion, alleged collusion between President Trump and the Russians in the 2016 election? Here to debate that, Wendy Osefo, Democratic strategist and professor at Johns Hopkins University, and David Avella, chairman of GOPAC. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
David, we'll start with you. The Russian source to a U.S. official, let me just read this quote real quick. You have no idea how extensive these networks are in Europe and the U.S. Russia has penetrated media organizations, lobbying firms, political parties, governments, and militaries. That came in 2014 as a warning. That's a big warning, wouldn't you say?
It is a big warning, but we've been hearing the Russians say this since the 1960s. Nikita Khrushchev used to brag about being involved in U.S. elections and trying to influence them. But what this report really underscores is that there still has no evidence been presented to the public that there was collusion amongst the Trump campaign or that the Russians did anything to actually impact the election. And quite frankly, it raises questions about if the Obama administration knew something, why weren't they taking more decisive action?
No, and I think you would allege that that's because they assumed that Hillary Clinton was going to win that election, as I think we all did. Wendy, over to you for a second. Obviously, you know, if you're looking at a case for collusion here, and you see that the Russians, have been working on this for a while. We've seen them screwing with other democracies, other countries in Europe and stuff like that. 2014 was before Donald Trump even announced he was running for president, and then he had to beat 16 other guys to get to that position to even run against Hillary Clinton, and he didn't have a snowball's chance in hell, according to most people. How do you make a case for collusion if you see this warning as far back as 2014?
Well, we all know that since 2014, we've been hearing these rumblings of, trying to interfere with Western democracies. But, they really didn't take it seriously because, again, we've been hearing these rumblings for a while. But I think it's really important that we underscore that the Obama administration did impose sanctions as well as increase their support for NATO. And they also released a statement on October 7th in 2016 saying that, they believe that the Kremlin is trying to interfere with our democracy. However, that statement was overshadowed by the Access Hollywood bombshell where we heard Trump and Billy Bush in their conversation. So while I think that the Obama administration could have gone further in what they needed to do to address this, I still think that the case for collusion when it comes to the Trump administration is not closed. We still have to see if there's any there.
Okay. All right. I guess that's fair. David, over to you for a second. It's said an intel official, an Obama intel official, said nobody wanted to piss off the Russians. Was a pretty frank statement there. When you couple that with the Medvedev comment from a couple of years ago where he kind of whispered to him, I'll have more flexibility after my election. I think if you had those two things against the president right now, people would be going nuts for a collusion case or some kind of deal where the Russians and the President of the United States are in bed with each other. What do you say to that?
There is no question we need to continue to stay tough on Russia, and whether that's this election or let's also keep in mind that it was just last year that Vladimir Putin claimed that they could take out the U.S. Navy's communication system. We have a lot of areas where America has to be concerned about what Russia's trying to do to impact this country and the lives of Americans on a daily basis. That's why our defenses need to be strong. We need to always be looking at our cyber security, and Russia has to be at the top of the foreign policy agenda for the Trump administration.
Yeah, and our relationship right now with Russia is not that good. All right, guys, thanks so much for coming on this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Heather, over to you.